Good morning, everybody. And as we start off today, I want to show you last night's satellite imagery. As the upper level low we watched that kind of sat over much of the Midwest, delivering some very heavy rainfall, moved into parts of New England last night. It did initiate some strong to severe storms that you can see right into this particular part of New York, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, that area. But what's on the back side of this last night as the sun was setting is what I really want to kind of discuss. I think most of the pattern here in the next 3 to 4 days will be dominated by what happens with this upper level kind of plume of moisture that's moving over the Intermountain West right now. You can see a lot of the wildfire smoke mixed in with this, but we're going to see what happens to this as it emerges out here on the plains and delivers probably some very heavy rainfall at times into this section of the United States. Outside of that, a large area of the country is going to go over drier. We've been discussing that quite a bit this past week. So let's just jump right from here into our high-res models and kind of take a look at what this morning's NAM run is going to do. So as we play through this morning, getting into this afternoon and this evening, you can start to see the scattered storms coming out of the Intermountain West, coming out of parts of the Pacific Northwest, and emerging here on the plains. You can also see that there is going to be this area right in through here into tomorrow morning on Thursday where we could get some heavier rain in the southern Canadian prairies over to Ontario and possibly here into parts of North Dakota and northern Minnesota. This is just a region where we've got some frontogenesis. We're seeing basically the atmosphere kind of squeeze this area, producing a front here, lifting the air, giving us some precip. What I'll be watching out for, though, is there's a second wave leaving Wyoming on Thursday afternoon and evening, and ahead of it there will be a frontal boundary right in through here that we could see some stronger storms develop on that could stretch again from Minnesota all the way down to the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. So this is kind of what seems to be dominating the pattern through Friday. Now, after this, we've seen some considerable changes in the forecast. And I want to talk to you about what those changes are and why they've showed up. We got to look at the upper levels to discuss what's going on here. The biggest changes are happening this Friday, getting into Saturday. In previous model runs, this trough here was much more connected with one that was coming over Alaska. And the two were timed better to dive into, well, really this part of the Canadian prairie into the upper Midwest, into the western plains and eventually finish in the upper Midwest. Well, the latest forecast now gets the timing of these two systems differently. They're off. The wave that came through Alaska now arrives later on Sunday, and that was enough time to let this other broad shortwave here kind of move its way off the coast of California, therefore producing a low off the coast of California. Since the two are no longer synced up, can you see the split here? This ridge that's going to be to the south really controls the pattern. A lot of heat comes in through here, and it almost kind of deflects this northern wave to keep it in the Canadian prairie. And what this essentially does is it changes the storm track. Instead of these two waves working together to dive through this ridge, they're now separated. And the separation here is important for this precipitation forecast. Let me show you what the models have done. 2 runs ago, the European model was suggesting that this is what the next 10 days were going to look like. We were seeing quite a bit of heavy rain in Montana coming out of the Intermountain West and parts of Idaho stretching into the southern Canadian prairie, and then a stalled out frontal boundary from Texas into northern Illinois that could have delivered quite a bit of heavy rainfall. Then we saw the runs yesterday morning, and this is what they looked like. There were some similarities. Things were just pushed back a bit, but clearly you could see the evidence of that larger ridge keeping things drier here, but wetter around the periphery. Well, this morning's run looks like that. And now you see the separation. The rain's now coming in here. That's just that system off the coast of California. We still see the rain here. This is coming, though, over the next couple of days. And now we've lost the heavier rainfall events that are happening in the Midwest. Now, if we're harvesting, this is a good thing. If I think with the longer-term drought issues, I wanted the rain in that area. But it is a substantial change in the latest model runs. It's also in the ensembles. Yesterday's map showing the probability of getting at least an inch of rainfall. Just watch this area right in through here as I show you yesterday's map compared to today's. See the decrease in this area. So that's where we're really seeing the changes in the latest model forecast. Looking at it, I think that the earlier runs were wrong. If we go back and look at how well they were correlated to the high pattern, both the GFS and the European had relatively low skill scores, which in the latest runs have come back up again. So maybe we do need to trust more the latest data than what we saw previously. So I'll go straight now to the latest update from the WPC. Maybe this captures it best because it shows us the decreased rainfall totals in through the parts of the central United States. Although we do expect storms in through here, it's maintained the wetter weather that's along the U.S.-Canada border coming out of Minnesota, getting it over to Lake Superior, and it still has the right, I think, storm total amounts here in the Intermountain West. Just to show you the newest run, though, let's go to the high-res European model. So we've already seen through Friday, right in through here. Now what you're going to watch is as we go into Friday evening, getting into Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon and evening, there's no longer that larger low that was forecast to sit here. There's the frontal boundary that was stretching in through this area from New England all the way back up to parts of Manitoba. But now the waves have split. One is here and the next one is coming into British Columbia. So you see going into next Monday and Tuesday, where's the low? It's now much farther to the north because these two systems are no longer connected. You can also see that there is expected to be right into here some tropical activity early next week. We're keeping an eye on this system that maybe over the next 7 days could approach the Bahamas, but the latest model forecast runs have turned this thing on off to the north and back out into the open ocean pretty quickly here. So that's our kind of latest update on the tropics. Other than that, this also gives us a drier week 2 forecast than what had previously been seen in this area, which is going to continue harvest efforts, of course, but just keep after kind of a drier end of the month of September. From here, though, with that ridge opening, watch what these temperatures are going to do. Here's today's highs. Okay, this is summer-like heat getting up into the central and northern plains. Thursday, the broader ridge opens farther east. This is now Friday's temperatures getting into Saturday. Now we see the cooler weather to the west, the warmer conditions across a broad section of the country, but watch this. As we go into Sunday, triple digits in Kansas. This is now Monday, possibly upper 90s, lower 100s in Kansas and Nebraska. This is, again, when those two waves split up, right? So the west stays cool, and then going out to next Tuesday, this is going to be a very warm time period. And that just seems to continue in the models. We're yet to kind of really see the models give us any sort of indication moving through the end of September that we're going to favor a highly amplified pattern that's going to deliver a lot of cold air into the upper Midwest. We could get some cooler air at times here, but I still don't see a major risk for a frost event coming into the plains here, getting through the end of the month. So you see that little bit of cooler weather that's coming in there. Again, like the third week, fourth week of September, but it's just not linked up with deep cold air yet to give us a major frost risk. And one last thing to talk about, the latest update from South America continues the trends we talked about yesterday with the early arrival of the monsoon in parts of Mato Grosso down here toward Paraná. There's a frontal boundary bringing in some heavier rain, but we're drier into Argentina, drier in southern Brazil. And that's going to continue, I think, to be a story as we press forward into the end of September and start talking about October. So we'll leave it off there, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.